famous every minute, every second, every frame, and SuperSport is sure to make it rain. Say you better chase your dream, Donna, you deserve it all. Before you touch the sky, just remember you're gonna fall. And every time that happens, you get up and dust it off. If they ask you what you do, you tell them I play ball.
Every day somebody asks me where the real ballers is at in the BNL. There's mad talented ballers in the BNL coming in with raw skills, and week 3 was no different. Weekend 3 of the BNL in 2015 was highly packed with action and highlights, and I'm sure Q will be able to attest to that. And let me welcome you to BNL Courtside, and I've got my main man with me, and we are always holding it down together as a duo. You might as well call us Black Star, but Q is with me right now.
Most deaf, you know what I'm saying, and it was an interesting weekend indeed. I mean, we can't not speak about the weekend and cannot not mention the Doozy Royals. There was a lot of expectation around the play of the Doozy Royals, and literally I think they left their fans slightly disappointed. The Egoli Magic were actually repositioned themselves as contenders in the game, and you know what, I think BNL week 3 absolutely surreal.
Well, thank you very much, Q. A great weekend, and it was just a great way to start that weekend with a good game on Friday night with the Doozy Royals going up against the Egoli Magic. It was just a great game all round. Very surprising win for the Egoli Magic, but oh man, Coach Floss just showing what a great coach he is, bringing in 2 great players on that team, and the Egoli Magic get the win. We take a look at our weekend results. On Friday, the Mountaineers trouncing the Eastern Cape Windbreakers, and the Doozy Royals coming up short, only scoring 49 against the Egoli Magic 72. On Saturday, 11th of July, the Eastern Cape Windbreakers pick up their 2nd loss of the season against the Limpopo Pride, who just came out running and getting another 100-point drubbing. The KwaZulu Marlins going down to the Doozy Royals. Rhinos picking up a win against the Northern Cape Zebras. And on Sunday, 12th of July, the Zebras going down to the Pride. The Eagles flying high, flying easy, as if Donny Hathaway was spurring them on, taking a win over the Free State Warriors, and the Soweto Panthers going down by 2 to the Tshwane Suns. Now, right about now, we're just going to break down Friday night's game. This was a game that was full of highlights, a game that was a nail-biter all the way to the end, but a very surprising finish.
We would be much remiss to say that the Doozy Royals were not the favorites going into the game, and Van der Bijl was aggressive from the start. The matchup between him and Tangara, much spoken about. Mo Tangara, a big presence in the paint for the Doozy Royals, and he actually had a very quiet game. They found a way to neutralize Miguel Ferrao with a pretty reverse layup. What he did on the floor, came in, knocked down a 3-pointer, was able to give energy on the defensive end, and Egoli Magic were trailing. They trailed the whole, Doozy Royals trailed the whole game, and that was the only 3 that the Doozy Royals managed to knock down. They were 1 of 19 from the 3-point line. It's absolutely surreal to see that happened. Lesego Molebatsi, he lit up the 4th quarter, led from the front, captain Lesego Molebatsi with the beautiful switch move, and I think we would be much remiss not to speak about the play of the game. You know, the play of the game, the one that actually emphasized how much dominance there was on the side of the Egoli Magic. And that play going to be shown right now. Off the Van der Bijl miss, Molebatsi on the follow, and the emphasis, the exclamation mark. The Egoli Magic absolutely setting the tone through the play of Van der Bijl and Jose Salvador, who had an impressive debut for the Egoli Magic.
Well, what a great conclusion to Friday night's game. The Egoli Magic really marking their territory against the KZN teams, and really showing that not only can the Doozy Royals be beaten, but hey, they can be beaten down as well. And Q, the Egoli Magic, everything just working out for them on the floor. Coach, let's talk about the adjustments that Coach Flush made with Jose Salvador and Miguel Ferral.
I think that was the talk of the weekend, the fact that Jose Salvador, an unknown player, an Angolan entity, a point guard, and it shows what a big difference a point guard can make to the play of a team. He literally came in, turned the ball over twice all game, helped facilitate the scoring, was able to put up his own shots. It wasn't falling for him on the day, but he took care of the basketball, and that was a big factor in the way that the Egoli Magic played. I mean, holding the Duzi Royals to 49 points, that's a defensive effort and something that should be commended. Coach Flush, tactics on point.
Well, that was a great conclusion to the game between the Duzi Royals and the Egoli Magic. And the Duzi Royals really had their hands full with all the players that the Egoli Magic had and kept throwing at them. Now, we had a great game as well to look forward to on Saturday. It was the KZN Derby, the Duzi Royals going up against the KwaZulu Marlins.
Now, the Duzi Royals, especially after that performance on Friday night, were a little bit flat coming out, and a lot was expected of them to bounce back, but Cyril Shabalala, he knocks it down from the outside, and you know, they struggled from the perimeter in the game against Egoli, and they started out well from the perimeter, and you see here, Yao Sitole off the crossover, he knocks it down. A little bit of possible chemistry issue on the Duzi Royals team, and Ayanda Shange for the Marlins started out very well and looks better than he has in the last 2 BNL seasons, and that splashes of brilliance from the young man, and we've criticized him heavily here in the commentary booth, and it's good to see him get out and actually give some of the offensive flair that he's known for. The young man, Tele, he lit the 4th quarter up, and he was able to impose some of his fast, quick play, and this is one of the steals from Kagiso Nkochana. He won the MVP. He had 14 points, managed to get his teammates off the bench, and the Royals eventually would edge out the Marlins 55-69. It was quite an intense affair, but not as engaging as we thought it would be, being a KZN derby. And down the floor, Maranele would close out the game in style for the Royals.
Well, the conclusion of that game, Q, all the players just going through salutations at the end of the game, but really a different game for the Duzi Royals as they came out of that game looking to dominate. They had a preseason exhibition game earlier on before the season, and that was held in Umlazi at the Kingswell Stadium, and there the Royals really put their stamp on KZN basketball and really showed that they are a team to be reckoned with. But over the weekend, the Duzi Royals, there's just so much going on with that team.
With the amount of talent on that roster, they should be doing a lot better. I think there are some fingers being pointed at Michel Katalai. He's got to find ways to motivate his players. He's got to input offensive sets that help facilitate touches in areas that players like. So Sitole's got to see the ball a lot more. Tangara, they were looking for a more weekend, and literally he struggled to find himself in positions where he could actually score. I don't think Ngobeni saw enough of the ball as well. And you know what? That's the job of a coach. You've got to get the ball to the players in their preferred position so they can actually be effective.
Well, thank you very much, Q. A whole lot of people are talking about Coach Katalai's rotations and the way that he's playing with his players, and he has to motivate them and actually pick them up off the ground and get the best out of them. We cross over to Sunday's game, and we had a cracker of a game between the Free State Warriors and the Northwest Eagles, going all the way down to the wire.
Now, the Northwest Eagles are my dark horses for the league. They have a solid roster. They have a mixture of youth and experience, and definitely touted as being one of the contenders and a possible top 4 for them. Rutando Mpano for the Western Cape, for the Warriors. He was an imposing presence and had a good first half. The Eagles tried a lot from the perimeter in the first half, and they struggled, but it's something that they do very well. This team likes to move the ball around the perimeter, likes to put shots, likes to knock down shots, and they've got very capable shooters. Amokela Kewakhatile off this play, arms in the air, Superman. You know, that's one of the plays that gave it energy.
Well, the Free State Warriors were also in the game, but Shoniwa Ushe there was able to finish. Great assist from Lucky Luate, and the ball coming back down the floor. The sidestep by Mbano on his defender and able to score the layup, and that led to a timeout. And Jingana was able to find Mudisa Esi in the corner. And Mudisa Esi, great rotations by coach Batapai Malu. And Mudisa Esi with another three. And that was Mudisa Esi with the dagger and really just closing matters out on Sunday afternoon against the Free State Warriors. The Free State Warriors really fought, pick up the slack because Vusi Sitole wasn't really contributing, but the Northwest Eagles are the dark horse, and I really think they have a spot in the top four.
I absolutely agree with you. And the one thing that I think we should also talk about, the importance of free throw shooting. That game went down to free throw shooting and taking care of the ball. And nowhere was that more important than our final game, the Tshwane Suns taking on the Soweto Panthers. And this one did go down to the wire. It was a 2-point game.
These were just big games throughout the weekend, but probably the biggest in atmosphere, in attendance, in what was happening at the arena. The defending champions Tshwane Suns going up against the Soweto Panthers.
And this game was tight from the absolute beginning. The Suns T-Man knocking it down from beyond the arc, and he was not present all game. Left the game with an injury. Matiba feeds Larry Jackson Jr. and he got his first MVP in this BNL 2015. Absolutely instrumental. Larry Jackson Jr. does give them an element in the paint. Dumisani Moyo, key from the perimeter. Selepe came out for the Panthers and he really just did do as much as he possibly could for the Soweto Panthers.
But Dumisani Moyo just doing a great job all the way down the floor and finishing with the left hand, drawing the and one play. And Mtembu here, after a little bit of the ball fluffing around and finishing, making sure with a two-hand flush, he just proved himself to be a great player who can finish in and around the rim with authority.
One of the areas that the Panthers did exploit was going down on the fast break, and in transition, Nobo gets the finish, gets Katleho Kitty off the bench, and recognition from his coach. Selepe in transition kept the Panthers in the game, and at the end of the game, it was down to free throw shooting and being able to take care of the ball. Reese Prinsloo tried to keep his team in the game on the boards, but Shongwe with the exclamation mark, and that was one of the key plays in the game.
Well, thank you very much, Q. A great conclusion to that game. This game was a nail-biter going all the way down to the wire. And Q, maybe if I can just pick your brain a little bit on what the Suns need to do. You know, the Panthers are slowly, surely closing that gap.
It's about coaching. Frank Belen is a great coach. He's instituted a system. They have a defensive rotation that works, and it's something that the Panthers opponents are going to have to be very, very wary of as the season progresses. They are still going to get players put onto their roster, and I do think that this makes them also viable contenders for that top 4 spot.
Well, I tell you, Q, and I agree with you, they have a great coach in Coach Frank Belen. His rotations and everything that he's doing with the team, and the players that they have also brought into the team, such as Richard Dale and Given Kobani, everyone just giving a great contribution. And the game came to a conclusion on a crescendo. The Soweto Panthers going down by 2 to the Tshwane Suns, but they are surely showing and proving that they are going to be a force to be reckoned with in the BNL in 2015 and going forward. We're going to take a quick break. Do stay with us. We're going to be profiling 2 young up-and-coming stars in the BNL, and followed by our top 5 plays of the week.
What you do, you tell them I play ball. Ask you what you do, you tell them I play ball.
And welcome back to BNL Courtside, and we are holding it down here with my man at QD4. And what a great weekend. A lot of games, creating people to talk on social media about what was going on throughout the weekend, from Friday's game against the Magic going up against the KwaZulu Marlins, and Saturdays and Sundays games as well. But Q, did you have any games that really stood out for you, or maybe special players?
Well, for me, of course, it's got to be the last game on Sunday. The Sunday game, the Panthers taking on the Suns. That was what we expected, a high-level basketball game. It involved players testing each other, coaches' systems against each other, and you know what? It's honestly great to see the level of basketball continually improving. Now, in the same vein, it would be much remiss of me not to speak about the development platform that this league has. You know,
Yes.
we're getting to see more and more young players become a lot better. We get stars coming through that you don't really expect. I would talk about in the game Samusa Mtembu, you know, from the Suns, a great development prospect. He's really a good player. You know, it's awesome to see good new players come through every weekend.
Well, for me, Q, it definitely has to do with the Limpopo Pride. They're a young team. I like the fact that they have young players coming into the team and really staking their claim in the league. They 2 of 2 as of things stands. But the one player who really stands out for me in the Limpopo Pride team has got to be Madumeche Komape. He starts at the number, he plays with the number 6 jersey, sometimes comes off the bench, sometimes starts, but a fearless and a player who plays with a whole lot of heart.
Well, one thing I can tell you about Komape is that his speed is deceptive. You'll see him blow by point guards who think that he's a slow dribbler. You know, he's athletic when he goes to the rim. And the fact of the matter is that he can knock down a perimeter jump shot. As he gets better, he'll do that more consistently. But those are the facets that make him one of the most dangerous young prospects in the league. And the fact we don't have point guards, and we've spoken about this consistently. The point guard position is one of the positions where South Africa has struggled to develop real talent. Now, Komape offers a solution to that problem.
Well, Q, I definitely agree with you. Madumeche Komape, the one player who really plays well for the Limpopo Pride, anchors the offense in terms of attacking the basket, can facilitate as well. And I liked that in the game that they played at the weekend, he came in with 15 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. That was just an all-round performance from a 3-year veteran, by the way.
He's a 3-year veteran and he's still a young player. The funny thing is that I have had the opportunity to play against him, so I've seen him on the court. And you know what? He's really quick. Like, he's deceptively quick. I tried to step up, he blew by me. And the thing is that he's got this deceptive athleticism. And it's difficult for me to say this on TV. You know, like, you know, I'm not old and we're not gonna put it down to age. You better understand that. It's just that there are some young, quick athletes out there, and he's one of them.
Well, it's all right, Q. We're not going to talk about your arthritic knees. Well, that was just great looking at Madumeche Komape. That's a player that you should keep your eye on, keep a lookout for him. He is going to progress in this league. But another player that we have to have our spotlight on, it's got to be the young guy from the Duzi Royals, Thabo Sithole, younger brother of Sakile Sithole, but Thabo Sithole, an all-round player who can play with the ball, off the ball as well, at the guard position, and just a marvel of a player.
I've been having chats with some of the players who are part of his teammates, or some of the senior players at Duzi Royals, and they really like the play of Thabo Sithole. They're looking for him to play a bigger role on the offensive end and the defensive end. He really can take over. You know, he led the SA Under-20 teams in the African qualifying tournament, and he did a really great job. You know, he's a natural leader. He's a smart point guard. But I think some of the elements that bother me, and something that is a point of concern, is the fact that he's moved teams in consecutive years. Something is not right. You know, if a player is moving teams that often, there's got to be a root cause of or there's got to be a problem that has him moving to and from all these teams.
Well, that's true, Q, and I have to agree with you. He's got to find the right fit, and in the right fit, as long as he is a young player, he's going to need older players who are going to mentor him. And we have a whole lot of players who have come through in the BNL from its inception, who have come through the Basketball Without Borders program, and it's just been great seeing them here. I am incredulous at the fact that we have players who've actually come from the first time the camp was held on African soil. Cyril Shabalala coming in, and as well as Bradley Peterson, and I'm sure this sets the tone and a platform for a lot of young players to really look up to them. And we know that a lot of these players that come through the BWB program end up going to other professional leagues around the world too.
Well, you know what it does is that it exposes players to competition. Now, first of all, you get to play against the top 100 players on the continent, and you get to see at what level you actually are. You know, being exposed to local talent does only so much. When you get exposed to the continent, you get to see exactly where you are in the pegging of the order. You know what I'm saying? So there are other players that I want to mention who have formed part of the BWB. Ayanda Shange has come through the ranks. Miguel Ferrao from from Igoli Magic has come through those ranks, and you can see the difference it makes to them. You know, you can see the development it has, the development effect it has, and how it makes them work on their games.
Well, it's really great just to see that players are working on their individual game, and it's contributing and showing a value to their teams. Right now, let's take a look at our top 5 plays of week 3.
And at number 5, we have Big Reese Prinsloo. And this was the opening play in the game against the Suns. And what sticks with me is the fact that he stuck with the play and got the finish. The tenacity. That set the tone for the game for the Panthers. And at number 5, you see Big Reese sticking with the play. Tenacity, and he gets the finish. Absolutely spectacular play by Big Reese.
Well, a spectacular play, Q, especially him sticking with the play, fluffing the assist for his teammate, but just going at the ball all the time and sticking with the play and out rebounding 3 or 4 Suns defenders. If you remember the commentary, I said call Kulichana because that's happily happy.
I do remember that.
Well, let's take a look at the next play. Bruce Lutumba showing us that the little man can ball above the rim.
The reason this one is in the top 4 play is that you don't expect a short man like Lutumba to get up and throw it down, and that's also a momentum builder. From that, the Mountaineers were able to continue to blow out the Eastern Cape windbreakers and get up to get down. And that's my man Bruce Lutumba on the play. You know, a short man like that. And I remember KP talking about, he was like, you're like 5 foot nothing and you managed to get up that high?
Well, he had to make sure, Q, in that kind of instance, in the heat of the game, you've got to make sure that you finish with authority. Welcome back to Larry Jackson Jr. on the top 3, on the number 3 spot in our top 5, and just finishing with authority.
I'm just going to let this play unfold. Boom! That's the only way to describe that beautiful no-look pass from Mothiba. And Larry Jackson does exactly what is needed. Larry Jackson throws it down, and that's what he adds in the paint for the Tshwane Suns.
Well, you've got to love that dime by Neo Mothiba. I just loved how he slowed things down in transition, 2-on-2 on the break, goes behind the back, and then the no-look pass, the great dime, and Larry Jackson Jr. with the finish with authority. And our number 2 play, we've got Amukelang Keuchatile, and just flexing muscles and showing power down low.
Thing about this play is that you really don't expect Keuchatile to get up off the drop step, off the turn, and the best part of the play is the way that he finished it, both arms in the air and just flexing, absolutely embellishing the fact that you managed to get up that high. You know, Keuchatile, when I spoke to him at halftime, said it's showtime, it's BNL, and we're here to send a message as the Northwest Eagles.
Oh, it was a dirty play, Q, and just a finish with authority, splitting defenders, and Keuchatile showing that he is a big player. And our number 1 play of the week, I'm sure everyone will agree with this one, my man Lesego Molebatsi with the EDD.
The thing that made this play so super special that people will remember is that Lesego Molebatsi in the game, the season game last year, the Goalie Magic going down to the Doozy Royals, Larry Jackson Jr. put the emphasis dunk down on Molebatsi, and this year Molebatsi making it a point to make sure that he let people know that I will not be denied, I will not be destroyed, I am here and I'm about to win this game for my team. Lesego Molebatsi, the exclamation mark, shuts it down. Igoli Magic blow Doozy Royals out the building.
Well, thank you very much, Q. That was just a great finish by Lesego Molebatsi on that play. I really like the fact that he stayed with the play and dunked the ball. And now let me tell you and all the viewers at home, when I say EDD, I mean he elevates, detonates, and decimates. Well, that was just a great play, the number 1 play by Lesego Molebatsi. And you've got to look at that whole play in context and in everything that happened on that play. Look at how after he dunked the ball, he gathered himself up and then he had a few words for Cyril Shabalala. And then after that, Jonathan van der Bijl was right there just to encourage him and pat him on the back. And that was just the ultimate, the apex of the game.
Zagomolo Betsi is becoming more and more passionate about his team, and you can just see it on the floor. He led from the front. He also knocked down that big, deep three-pointer. You know, it was just another exclamation point for the Egoli Magic, and I think that was one of the standout performances of the weekend. The other standout performance for me from the weekend was the Tshwane Suns. You know, they came in, they beat the Soweto Panthers under adverse circumstances, but they continue to know how to win. Winning is a habit. It's something that you have to teach your team to do consistently, and you can see that the Tshwane Suns are just in this habit. They win when it counts. They do the right things down the stretch. Even if the free throw line was a struggle, they still managed to get it done.
Well, we have a whole lot more basketball action coming up. This was week 3, but let's take a look at the fixtures for week 4. A whole lot of games to look forward to. This is going to be big. On Friday is epic. Tshwane Suns taking on the Northwest Eagles. The Egoli Magic going up against the Soweto Panthers. And on Saturday, the Marlins face the Eagles. That's a back-to-back for the Eagles. The Duzi Royals face the Rhinos. The Warriors face the Limpopo Pride, evenly matched. And both those teams will be going for a win. And on Sunday, it appears that we have a whopping 4 games going on. We have the Zebras against the Royals, the Mountaineers versus the Suns. We have the Warriors going up against the Windbreakers, and the Soweto Panthers close things out against the KwaZulu Marlins. It just seems to be going tougher and tougher for the Marlins, but Q, just a whole lot of great basketball to look forward to. Your thoughts, maybe predictions for next weekend?
Wow, what an amazing weekend of basketball. I think the game on Friday is going to be amazing. I think the Egoli Magic, Soweto Panthers, that's another derby game, and there's always a lot of tension between those two teams, a lot of pride at stake. So I'm looking forward to that, and also looking forward to seeing how the Marlins do against the Egoli Magic.
Well, thank you very much, Q. It's just been nice, really great chopping it up with you. But this is the conclusion of BNL Courtside for this week. And like TP said, close the door, turn off the lights. We are out.
To witness every minute, every second, every frame, and SuperSport is sure to make it rain. Say you better chase your dream, Donna, you deserve it all. Before you touch the sky, just remember you're gonna fall. And every time that happens, you get up and dust it off. If they ask you what you do, you tell them I play ball. Tell them I play ball.